Morning, everyone. I haven't met too many of you, but my name is Brad, and when I agreed to be an alternate warden, I thought it was pretty much the perfect job because I could have lots of opinions and not actually do anything, but apparently that was wrong. So, most of you probably know me better as Roz's husband, who is the more public figure in our family, but Rosie and I have been married for nearly 12 years, and we've got 3 beautiful children who we are both incredibly proud of. Caitlin, Connor, and Max, the little monkey that's normally wreaking havoc in the front. And for the last 10 years, I've been CEO of a business called FMI, and that's really what Kevin's asked me to share a little bit about this morning. So we're a specialist life insurance company based in Durban, which was already unusual. We're the only life insurer with a head office here. But I think what I'm the most proud about of our business is we've created a really special culture, a culture that's really centered around caring for people. And something that Kevin and I have chatted about often is the challenge, I think in today's world particularly, of running a business based on sound Christian principles. I think every day as leaders we are faced with very, very difficult decisions to make. I have to make 100 decisions a day, most of the time without enough information. And with often challenges that are fighting against what you know is good and what you know is sound. And I think it's particularly difficult to do that without making compromises. So I thought I'd share some of the lessons that I've learned from my time at FMI, and hopefully you found some of it helpful. So when I was asked what my life verse was, my first response also was, I don't have one. But then I realized that Philippians 4 verse 13 is something that I've said to myself instinctively at almost every important time in my life, particularly when I'm feeling terrified or facing something big, a bit like this morning. I'm comfortable speaking in front of huge crowds in a business context, but this is particularly terrifying. I feel like in church there's a much higher level of holiness that's expected that I'm not sure I have, so if there's a lightning strike, that's why. But, I think as you can see from that verse, I really believe in the power of people, the power of individuals. I think that God has given us all amazing skills and strengths, and that comes with the responsibility. So we often have debates in my cell group because I kind of share a minority view that I get irritated sometimes when Christians always talk about, I'm going to pray. Well, I don't think you should always pray. I think you should just do something. I think God has given you everything you need, and it's almost insulting always to say, well, you've got all the skills to now sit down and go, I need help. Get up and do something. And I think if you believe that, you realize though that humans are equally capable of doing incredible things as they are of committing horrible evil. And I think what's often the difference between those two is a guiding set of values or principles. So if you believe in the power of people and that people properly motivated are capable of doing much more than even they realize, and you believe as I do that fundamentally if you want to grow a business, you've got to empower people. You can't centralize or be close to every single decision because you're going to stifle growth that way. And then the final thing is that I have a deep-seated hatred for rules and processes and anything that even smells slightly bureaucratic. So if you put all of those things together, how do you have a business and avoid some of the pitfalls? Every day I think we read in the papers of some other famous business that's crashed, all because of a failure of ethics or a failure of values, or someone's done something horribly fraudulent or dishonest. And all of those businesses had values, I'm sure about it. It's the cliche now. I think every business talks about having values. It's what every self-help book talks about. And most of those businesses that have done some terrible things probably had honesty somewhere. So what I'll try and tell you, some of the things that we've done at FMI to try and make that more real, make it more than just something you put on a poster in the canteen area. And I think it comes from 2 key issues. One is to have a real common purpose. And I think if you have that in a business and that purpose is more than profit, I think you're able to keep people centered. So we're an insurance company. We pay people an income when they can't work. That's our reason for existence. But what it means for us is that we're passionate about the fact that we help people. We help people and their families, and we help protect the life that you're still trying to create. And that's an amazing thing to be part of, to know that every single day we are paying an income to people who wouldn't otherwise have one. And in doing so, you're helping family, employees, helping businesses stay afloat. And that sense of purpose, I think, has really centered us all. And if you ask anyone, hopefully in our business, from myself through to, I hate to use an example, it makes it sound like the opposite of the CEO, but through to the tea lady, you should get the same answer. And that, I think, is much more. I spend most of my waking life and disturbingly most of my sleep time thinking about work as well. And I want to know that I'm allocating that time to something that I'm proud of, something that I feel like is making a difference. The other thing that we've been dead set on from the beginning is having a strong sense of values. I think you need these values as guiding principles and a framework to make every single decision. And if you have this kind of purpose that is not just about profit, and if you have these values that allow you to make good decisions, I think you're protecting yourself from some of the kind of the risks and the temptations that you're going to face every single day. So what we try to do to make these things more real, to try and build a set of values into our DNA, is there are 4 things we've worked on. The one is to make them clear and public, and to talk about them over and over and over again. We talk about our values every single day, in every single report to the board, and every single time I talk to our staff. Our values is how we start the discussion and how we measure whether every decision, every strategic decision we make is sound. The other thing is we are obsessive about the people we work with. And I think that that's something that applies in life as well. You need to surround yourself with people that share your values and are going to help you share those values. And it means that we're particularly careful about who we let into our business. But also the flip side is that there are times where we need to get people out of our business. Sometimes people who are stars, sometimes people who are great at their job, but they just don't share your values. And leaving that unchecked can be the most dangerous thing in the world. So some of the most difficult decisions I've had to make is where you have to ask an individual to leave who's actually doing a good job but who just doesn't fit. The other thing we have is a sense of group ownership. I'm not strong enough to be the only person in our business who worries about our values. So we very deliberately got every single person in our business to realize that they are ours, and I expect every single one to help me drive that. And one of the things we've done to make that real is we've introduced a culture panel. So whenever we recruit somebody, we go through a whole battery of tests. But the final thing is we have a panel of people from around the company, from different departments, from different levels in the business. And they interview this person purely to see whether they will fit our values, whether they'll fit into our culture. And they have the final say. They've overruled me more than once when there was someone I was so excited to get to join. And I said, sorry. And I think doing that, you have to do it. It's horrible when you realize you've given up some decision-making power and sometimes you regret it. But I think having that shared sense of ownership is one of the reasons why we've been able to stay the course. And I think the last one, which is probably the most important for any leader, is not to surround yourself with yes men. I think every single person is fallible. And even the stories you read in the Steinhoffs and the Marcus Josters, I don't think he started out as a bad person. I think he was a good person who made 1 or 2 poor decisions. And I think like any journey, you start off 1 degree off course, 5 years later you're miles off. And I think that's how a lot of these things start. And it's a dangerous thing to be in a position of power or some leadership. And you have to have people who are strong enough and brave enough to stand up to you, call you on your rubbish, tell you when you're making a mistake. And I'm lucky in my personal life that I have Roz, who's a real moral compass in our family and who's never scared to stand up to me. Ever. And I think in my kind of spiritual walk, when I've been at my best is when I've been part of a strong cell group. Because I think in that space is where I find individuals who are able to hold each other accountable. But in my career, I've always made sure that I've had a couple of colleagues close to me that I trust and that trust me, that I ask to really call me when I'm making mistakes. And I think that's been such a critical thing. So the challenge for us is going to be, how do we keep that as we grow? We've had a couple of years of amazing growth. We're still a small business. We're about 180 people now. And who knows how big we could get. And the challenge is keeping these kind of principles as we grow. And as the pressure to become more bureaucratic and put more rules in place continues to hit us. And I suppose one of my challenges to everybody is, you often get told, follow your passion, do something you're passionate about. And sometimes I think it's rubbish, because I don't think you can always get that right. What I think you can do is make sure that the company you commit your time to and the job that you give your skills to, at least you have an alignment of your values. And I've been lucky that I've been able to lead a business from quite a young age, so I was able to almost craft it to the values that I hold dear. And I've never been forced to be part of something where I have to compromise what I believe in. But I can only imagine that must be a terrible place to be. And I think that's much more important than kind of following your passion. I think being in somewhere that is aligned to your values is probably the number one thing. And then finally, for me, it's just about how do you apply some of these lessons to the most important job I have, which is raising our children with Roz. And I think that values there is even more important than in work. I don't know how to prepare my kids for tomorrow when I don't even know what tomorrow is going to look like. This world is changing so quickly. I can't be there for every decision they have to make and every challenge they face. I can't prepare them for a world that I don't understand. But I think what we can do as parents is give them a set of values and hope that we equip them to make the right decisions. And I think that, value seems old-fashioned, but in this kind of scary modern world, they're probably more important than ever.